Hi, my name is Boyd Sisabal,
And I'm Roberto M. Salapaw,
and we are reporting the uneasy journey of physical education and sports
in 1900s.
to 1941. In significant events, sports were gradually included in the school curriculum. Second, first real mixing of sports and physical education occurred in the early 19th century, which two aspects are noticeable. The first is gradually addition of competitive athletics, including intramurals, to the school programs, followed by a boom in popularity after World War I. Second, the addition of sports and games to school physical education curricula, the American system or the new physical education. Also in significant events, the third is three phases of development in the history of American school sports between 1880 and 1930. The first is the time of students' control of the sports program in the schools. It lasted until about 1905 when the National Collegiate Athletic Association or NCAA. Second is increasing the control of sports by the school, peaking in 1992 when a national federation was formed for high school sports. And the third one is new physical education, lasted from 1992 to 1930 and was the time of greatest change in moving sports into the physical education program. Six trends in physical education from 1905 to 1922. First, the gradual assumption of control over intercollegiate sports by the NCAA and by College Athletic Conference. Second, the effort of high schools to control the sports program. Third, the rapid growth in women's athletics. Fourth, boom in intramural sports or sports involving only the students within a single school. The school intramural program was an offshoot of the earlier student-run sports program. The fifth, in 1913, the University of Michigan became the first university to form a department of intramurals led by Elmer Mitchell to run the program for the student body. The sixth one is the emphasis was on the number of participants rather than on how they participated, which created a temporary sidetracking of the intramurals program growth. In addition of games and sports to the physical education curriculum, the emphasis of physical education gradually shifted from a health focus to general education focus. The move towards a unified American system. First, in 1892, Convention of the American Association for the Advancement of Physical Education AAAP, Niels Bohr argued to American leaders should stop using foreign system of training and develop an American system based on the characteristic and needs of the American people. New leaders became prominent in education and physical education with such efforts. John Dewey in 1859 to 1952. Major leader in the progressive movement in education, taught at the University of Chicago when his ideas on education first became known. Later, a professor of philosophy at Columbia University. The second saw social changes through an experimental form of education that centered on the child. He was best known for a work on education called Democracy and Education, published in 1916. He strongly believed in the unity of mind and body. His teaching included the concept of the whole child, combining the mental and the physical as areas that cannot be separated in education. This concept led to a gradual shift in the aim of physical education in the U.S. from health-centered concern for the student's body to a concern for all educational values. That is to a unified view of the child and of education. He believed that education had social goals and outcomes, and he included physical education in this role and follow a philosophy sometimes called the learning by doing method of education. His theories were used in producing the new physical education in 1920s.
The new physical educations in 1922 to 1930. The acceptance of the games and sports activities as the legitimate part of the school physical education program. He refers to it as a program of naturalized activities for education towards citizenship, included games and sports as well as the other non-gymnastic activities aimed at meeting the needs and interests of the student. The three conflicting philosophies programs that caught physical education, according to C.H. MacLeod, believe that the functions of physical education was physical training and development. J.C. Faring William argue for the education too rather than simply of the physical. Janus focused on education for leisure activities. The period from 1922 to 1930 can be summarized from the viewpoint of either physical education or sports. For physical education's advocate, it was the time of the new physical educations. For the sports-minded people, it was the golden age of sports. In 1900s to 1930, expanding programs options. Dancing was another programs moving into the program with equal vigor in sports. Dance, particularly folk dance, was presented in depth at the 1905 conventions of the renamed American Physical Education Associations, or NAPEA, formerly the AAPE. Many new programs of professional preparations were developed. Teachers College of Columbia University in New York City awarded the first master's degree in physical education in 1910. New York City University offered the first PhD program in physical education in 1924. The creations movement was growing, led by Luther Gulick. The American melting pot and the better through eugenics, social prejudice in actions, attitudes of a social and racial prejudice were common in America. Eugenics movement began in the late 1800s and reached a peak in the 1920s and 1930s based on the idea of the racial purity generally for the people of white English and European descent. Affect physical education in the part because field of focus involving student health and in the sense of perfecting the body of students. The primary research area in early year of the professions of anthropometric measurement, where thousands of students had many of their physical measures taken that treated statistically to determine their group's norms. Researchers focused on the best athletics of their time. For those measures, they calculate that they considered to be the ideal ACQ. They then focus part of the training in the physical education classes to trying to physically develop students in a way that would move tired personal physical measures closer to the match with the idea measured. The effect of Great Depressions in 1930 to 1941. Depressions took several years to fully develop and affect the entire country, lasted from 1929 into the start of World War II in 1941. Many physical education programs were dropped from the school curriculum based on the claim that it was an expensive field and wasted money. Physical educators were focused to defeat their programs vigorously. Aided great social change. The U.S. gradually shifted from its old idea of large individualism to new concept for a group and equality of opportunities. The 1940s brought radical reversal of trend when the new programs in many European nations showed their aims to fitness for war and develop of stronger sense. Naturalism resulted in the gradual shift in American program back to emphasize the physical fitness.